Tonight, the White House says it's preparing to declare the opioid crisis a national emergency.
The decision comes as experts say the opioid problem could get even worse, not better, over the next 2 years. And it's a problem being felt here in North Carolina.
That's right. According to Governor Roy Cooper's office, there were 1,110 opioid-related deaths in 2015. That's a 73% increase from 2005, when 642 people died.
Let's go live to Washington and CBS North Carolina's Mark Meredith. And Mark, the White House changing its mind here in the last 48 hours about how to deal with the crisis.
That's right, Sharon. We saw on Tuesday President Trump's staff asked about whether or not they were going to declare an emergency. They said at the time they didn't feel that was necessary, but that they could still fight this problem. Fast forward to a few hours ago, President Trump was asked about it, and he says he is preparing to declare an emergency. But there is one question tonight: will it work? President Trump says it's the worst drug crisis he's ever seen.
You know, when I was growing up, they had the LSD and they had certain generations of drugs. There's never been anything like what's happened to this country over the last 4 or 5 years.
In 2015, 52,000 Americans died from drug overdoses, but the president's acting drug czar, Richard Baum, says even with all of the attention on opioids, the crisis may get worse before it gets better.
I don't see it peaking for another year or two, but that doesn't mean we should wait around.
President Trump says he's taking action.
We're going to draw it up and we're going to make it a national emergency.
The White House is also considering a crackdown on doctors who overprescribe powerful painkillers.
So we absolutely want people to have help for pain, but we shouldn't be giving out these prescription drugs like candy.
Individual states are also targeting the medical industry. Attorneys general in Ohio and Missouri are suing drug companies that market opioids. But the administration says this is not just a U.S. problem. The White House wants Congress to toughen the borders to make it harder for these drugs to come through. And they're coming from places you may not suspect.
We also welcome the Congress's help to control the import of packages from Asia that contain fentanyl and these other drugs. We know Congress is working on some legislation. We're talking to them as well.
Congress is considering a bill that would add billions of dollars to fight the epidemic. The White House says it plans to support that plan, but also push for more solutions this fall. The president did not say exactly when that emergency declaration would go into effect. He has convened a presidential task force to look into this opioid crisis. This was one of their recommendations, and as we've been talking about, they're going to have another meeting later this fall where they're expected to give even more recommendations to the president. Reporting live in Washington, Mark Meredith, CBS North Carolina.